pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to our debate. This is the Illinois Executive and Guardian. This is the third debate that we've actually hosted. And I would like to introduce our moderator, Colleen Parliament. So Colleen Parliament is a true Jersey girl who currently resides in Woodbridge Township. Colleen is part of many organizations: Historical Association of Woodbridge, Garden Club, the Moose, and the Daughters of the American Revolution, just to name a few. She continues to help out her community through her deacon work at her church. Welcome, Colleen, please.
Good evening. So I would like to read the rules of the forum. No personal attacks or abusive language will be tolerated. I don't think I would get that from either one of you. The audience will be asked to refrain from applause until completion of the event. Any unruly individuals will be asked to leave. There will be an opening and closing statements by each candidate for 2.5 minutes. Time limits will be strictly adhered to. If you should see the time's up little thing, please finish your sentence. Okay? Candidates will be asked questions on a rotating basis. The moderator, I may eliminate or rephrase questions that I deem inappropriate. You will be given a maximum of 2 minutes to answer each question. And no part of this forum will be used for political campaigning or for a candidate's personal benefit. And this will also be recorded to be viewable on the AmboyGuardian.com website. So I'm going to let ladies go first. So I'm going to introduce Ms. Sharon Hellerman. So Sharon was born and raised in Perth Amboy, a former Wall Street financial professional, public speaker, and community advocate. She retired from a successful career in the financial industry, 20 plus years, to pursue her passion of strategic communications. A Rutgers College alum, mini MBA from Rutgers Business School, and an honors graduate of Holy Trinity School and Bishop George R. High School. And now the Honorable Kenneth Gonzalez. Kenneth has been a proud resident of the city of Perth Amboy almost his entire life, with an extensive resume of community involvement. He graduated from Perth Amboy High School with honors in 1987. After high school, Judge Gonzalez graduated magna cum laude from Kean University, where he earned a BA in political science in 1992. He is also a 1995 graduate from Rutgers University of Law, where he earned his Juris Doctor degree. In 1999, he was elected to Perth Amboy Board of Education, where he served until 2010. Mr. Gonzalez served as president of the Board of Education until 2010, when he was elected to the seat on the Perth Amboy City Council. In 2014, he left the City Council and was appointed to serve as municipal court judge in the city of Perth Amboy. 1 year later, he was appointed to serve as chief judge of the Perth Amboy Municipal Court, overseeing court operations as of December 2015. In 2023, he retired from the bench after 9 years of service. In addition to continuing to manage his law firm here in Perth Amboy, he currently serves as board of trustees on the Proprietary House, as the president of the Perth Amboy High School Hall of Fame Selection Committee, as a member of the board of trustees to the LEAF organization that raises scholarship funds for high school graduates seeking to attend college, and also serves as chairman of the Perth Amboy High School class reunion of 1987. In 2017, he was inducted into the Perth Amboy High School Hall of Fame, and his contributions in the areas of law and public service. So I present to you our two candidates for mayor, and let's have some fun. Sharon, if you want to come around. Yeah, we want to see your pretty face, you know. It's okay, we understand. So let's start. Okay, is that fair?
Ladies first, I'm fine.
Yeah. So first, I'd like to let you both get 2.5 minutes for an opening. Okay? Sharon, you may go.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. I would first like to thank our moderator and the organizers. Let's give a round of applause for them. I'm very happy to be in attendance today, and most importantly, to be given the opportunity to share with you not only the answers to your inquiries, but to talk to you on 3 specific items. Greener, healthier, sustainable. These are 3 words that oftentimes get interchanged with climate. However, Okay. However, we must look at the makeup of our town and incorporate these 3 key features. Each year goes by, and it's hard to conceive how we have become more concrete and less green. And by greener, I mean no trees, no shades, peaceful living. Hello? Okay. Peaceful living and alternative funding methods that would keep us greener in revenue without placing a burden on each of the Perth Amboy residents. We achieve a healthy environment when we reduce noise pollution, air pollution, and help solve our safety, security, parking, water quality, and housing issues. During COVID, our town suffered immensely, but yet we are here today, which shows us that we are resilient. Yet, when you open that water bill, when you have to pay the rent, when you have to pay other bills, does that make you feel a little bit stressed? Is that healthy? I don't think so. Now it is time to see the urban opportunities that will help propel us into the 21st century. Not by shortcuts, not by wasteful spending, but by smart planning, which is defined in our HUB 2024 plan. We are just starting to turn a new page in the journey to select the change in leadership. We need to restore our town, defend our resources, and stand up for our residents. We've had enough of outdated solutions and ideas and weak leadership. We need sustainable leadership to have a sustainable future. Perth Amboy is not for sale. Our team will work hard for you because we are stronger for Perth Amboy. Pro-Perth Amboy, pro-family, pro-safety, and pro-economic growth. And we want Perth Amboy great again. And I humbly ask for your support in June and November. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am so excited and honored for the opportunity to address all of you today. I want to take a moment specifically to thank our moderator for serving in that capacity. I want to thank our organizers from the local newspaper, Amboy Bayside News, Amboy Guardian. I don't know if everyone fully is aware of the difficulties they had to go through to make sure that this day happened. I'm grateful to you because Perth Amboy deserves to hear all of the candidates from their own mouths espouse and express their views and their ideas. And I am blessed that presente y la gente se está mirando en Facebook Live que no hablan inglés. Yo soy muy orgulloso para anunciar que yo soy un candidato para alcalde de nuestra ciudad. Vean, what can you do in English? I will respect that. But no Spanish, that's fine. I got it out there, it's okay. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and excited for the opportunity to express my views, to share them with everybody here. Folks, I've lived in Brookhaven for 49 years with my beloved family. I am proud of this community, but I have seen this community backslide in the last 3 years in a way that should never have happened. I like to say, and I want to make sure I can convince everybody here that's present or watching that I am the candidate that has the best qualifications to be the next mayor of the city of Perth Amboy. After 9 years of working with the police, working with code enforcement as the chief judge, certainly working with the court staff, certainly before that as a member of the city council for 5 years and a member of the board of education for 12 years, and an attorney educated in law who has studied criminal law as well. I believe I am the person who can best represent Perth Amboy, and I ask you to please consider on June 4th voting for myself as well as my two outstanding candidates who are running for city council, Kevin Twitsky and Anna Marie Zavaitis. God bless you. Let's have a great candidate for him today. Thank you.
Okay, first question. Wait.
2 minutes, right? Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Just give us a moment. If you want to drink of water after those lovely speeches, we have water right on the bottom of your podiums for you.
If you want to set it for 2:30, just stop us at the 30 mark.
Oh, we got it.
Up there you go.
Okay, so my very first question is going to be to both of you. I'm going to start with Sharon to answer. What is your solution to address illegal housing?
Thank you. Each of you, a lot of you have perhaps lived in Perth Amboy for many years. And this illegal housing crisis is tantamount to what we consider affordability in New Jersey. Recently, our team had released what would be our mission regarding illegal housing, being that the current administration has signed us to have a COLA requirement. We did not have it before. So what does that mean? That means that there's going to be more building in the city of Perth Amboy. So what's a viable solution to meet the affordability? I call it the pathway to legalized housing. And what does that mean? Safety, security. There are families that will be displaced, but yet they should not be living in conditions that are a safety issue. So therefore, I'm here to protect the property rights, the tenants' rights, and most importantly, to make sure that we have compliance. But we need to give time for that compliance. So part of the initiative that I am looking to drive home in the city of Perth Amboy is have a pathway to legalized housing, which by the way, the discussions have already started in Trenton. So what better way to have bipartisanship, cooperation, so that we help the families in need and we start to have legal homes to live with. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All good. Ready? The issue of unsafe housing to me is the single most important issue in the city of Perth Amboy. the Department of Code Enforcement, unfortunately, has failed in their task. There are a number of people living in basement apartments, in attic apartments. There are a number of people who are living in one-bedroom houses where each individual bedroom has been rented out individually. It's a sin. Those people, quite frankly, are victims of people who should not be crammed in like dogs. This needs to stop. If elected your mayor, it is my intention to reorganize Code Enforcement Department immediately. It is in the list of 100 first days in office. I'm not going to deal with it in 4 years, 2 years, or 1 year. It's going to happen immediately. It is my intention to direct that we have a task force that's going to actively go after fixing the problems of unsafe housing. The tenants are going to be treated respectfully. They'll be given monies for movement to another location. The state statute allows for a court to order that somebody should pay for them to get an opportunity to move elsewhere. But at the end of the day, having too many people crammed into too small a space is affecting horribly parking situations, affecting horribly public safety issues. When I was the judge, I would routinely get phone calls from people at 2 in the morning, and I would ask for, they would be asking me for temporary restraining orders, and I'd ask a real basic question: where do you live? I live in the basement. Time and again, that was the answer. We need to protect our city, and we need to make sure that somebody enforces the code. It's called code enforcement, it's called law. It's not discretionary. Let's do it now. Thank you.
No. Because,
Is there a rebuttal? Okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I admire the passion behind home enforcement, but this is what is important to know. Displacement of families. And who incurs the cost to move the families? The property owners. So, I don't believe that there is a swift solution, and that's why the solution to have a pathway to legalize housing, and then if they don't meet the standards, there is at least time to be able to address that issue. But I don't believe in just ripping families out of their homes. That's all they know, that's all they can afford. So the solution here is really to devise a better program. Thank you.
yes, you do, Ken.
We can do this for a while, but okay. Look, when I was the chief judge, the city of Perth Amboy during the Diaz administration would routinely come to me when there was a case of illegal or unsafe housing. And I would say, is that tenant enforced to incur expenses? And the answer is yes. The court has the right to impose up to 6 months of rent against that landlord. And I would order that. I will say, during the Cobb administration, not once did anybody come and ask for that, by the way. That was another failure of the Cobb administration. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. Ken, you touched on parking, so my next question will be this. Lack of parking, available parking is a major problem in Perth Amboy. Many people who live out of the town are reluctant to come to Perth Amboy because they don't want parking tickets. Parking is often extremely difficult when certain events are taking place. What would you do to increase the availability of parking in Perth Amboy?
Thank you. Oh, me or Sharon? Sorry.
Sharon, go first, and then
No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Part of the HUB 2024 plan, which we also announced, is to have citywide residential parking. Our team has been going door to door, and one of the hugest problems that they need is parking. Why should a family, when they come home late from work, have to park 3 or 4 blocks away from the home? Oftentimes, who's parking in those spots? initiative that complements all of the other solutions that we have to offer is citywide residential parking, which could be implemented on day one. Thank you.
This is what we refer to in the business as the dramatic pause. It's very exciting, actually. Kimmy, is that right? Yeah. Thank you very much. The issue of parking is something that can't be discussed in 2 minutes, but I'm going to tell you as quick as I can to follow. You have two distinct issues. Parking in the commercial area of the downtown is ridiculous. There are no available parking spaces unless you're going to park up in the deck. And for whatever reason, our community doesn't particularly want to use the parking deck that's on the far side by Jefferson and Brunswick Avenue. What we need to do is decide, and this is a debate that I'm excited and interested in engaging in. Do we go with the process of a New Brunswick, where we build more parking decks, for example, a central parking deck in the downtown, say at the train station? Or do we go, instead of the New Brunswick route, we go the Woodbridge route, or the Somerville route, and start buying properties that are off major roads, so take Hobart Street, off of Smith Street, and start basically creating small parking lots for our community. Those are great conversations to have. They're not conversations the current administration is bothering to engage in. Separate, and I'd like to talk about that for much more time, but I already have, less than 1 minute. With regards to residential parking, again, if you deal with the issue of the unsafe housing, where people shouldn't be living in basements and attics in the first place, that'll help the area that is congested in residential. But even further, we need to consider investing in creating residential community parking lots in different residential areas. At the end of the day, we continue building more and more properties, and yet the Cobb administration has decided to decrease the number of required parking lots for new projects. That's an insult to the community of Perth Amboy. We need space to park, we need space to live, and we need to make sure that we're thinking out of the box to make it happen for Perth Amboy. Perth Amboy does deserve better. Thank you.
And Sharon, would you like a rebuttal?
Yes. Parking lots. While that could be a viable solution, it is not the optimal solution, and I'll tell you why. As a businesswoman, I know about what's called occupancy rate. So in order, before we start investing or start building, we need to look exactly at the layout. Perth Amboy is poised to have a revisit in the structure and restructure of parking. Not only to include parking lots more concrete. I've already spoken, do we want to be all concrete? So that's my objection to not just parking lots being the solution. Thank you.
My specific answer said I'm interested in engaging in a debate and an honest discussion about different parking opportunities. I didn't necessarily say specifically parking lots or parking decks. I want to think about everything. A number of good, intelligent people even discussed, do we need to continue to charge for parking, or are there things we can do? As far as making unpaid parking spaces, people can park here to generate more people to come to the shopping districts of Perth Amboy. Those are good discussions to have. I can talk for more, but my time's up.
Thank you both. Our next question. If a developer donates property to the city, what do you think would be the best use? Sharon?
What I can say is that we have been doing a lot of work in redevelopment currently in the administration. And what have we achieved through that? Warehousing, more density houses. But I always wondered, why is it that other towns, when they negotiate these redevelopment plans, that they don't negotiate better for Thank you.
Thank you.
And we got a second. Colleen, would you mind restating that question so we can hear it correctly?
So if a developer donates property to the city, what do you think would be the best use?
Who donates? I'm sorry.
A developer.
Okay.
Reset, I'm sorry.
Good opportunity for pictures, right? Enjoy each other's company. It's good. It's all good. I appreciate you. You're doing great. All right. If we have a developer who decides to be gracious enough to just donate property to Perth Amboy, which would be a blessing, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. But if it did happen, the best use is definitely not another warehouse. I am sick and tired of Perth Amboy and our beautiful, beautiful waterfront being used to develop warehouse spaces. Why on earth is it that someone somewhere in this county decided that we should be Middlesex County's closet space? What we need to do is stop building warehouses. We need to stop building giant apartment buildings. Those things are bad. They are inimical to our future in Perth Amboy. What we need is to develop our waterfront in an area where we have great public use. Stores, restaurants, concert venues. The area by where the Cornucopia Princess is sitting there languishing, and more than anything else is being used as a bus depot. That's not sensible. We have the most beautiful waterfront in the county. We need to develop it. Perth Amboy needs to start thinking smart, not cheap. I'm sick and tired of warehouses and pilots and promises of jobs that aren't materializing. That's what we need to do at the end of the day. We need to develop in a way that's beneficial for Perth Amboy. No more warehouses. Thank you. No more apartments.
Is there any rebuttal? No, I think you guys answered very nicely. Okay, so I've done 3. The next 3 I'm going to have Ken go first. We're going to switch it up. Is that good? All right.
Let's do it.
All righty. So quality of life. You can show music. Okay. Loud music. Garbage. People cursing in the streets. Continue to be a problem. What will you do to improve the quality of life in Perth Amboy?
Great question. We can start there. Let's do it. When I was the chief judge, I got a number of cases that came in front of me that were brought by the police for people playing loud music. And when I got there, the normal fine was something in the range of $56. That was ridiculous to me. I usually, on a normal basis, would hit people up with at least $400 to $500 fines. And the very first time I did that, I heard a collective gasp from the people in my courtroom. Because to me, quality of life is the thing that all of us who live in Perth Amboy and pay taxes expect and deserve. We want peace and quiet in our communities. That's huge. The same thing as the mayor of Perth Amboy, I'm going to direct our police to go ahead and issue summonses. If you see somebody double parked, whether it's a taxi or another person and you're a police officer, get that person moving. And if they refuse to move, you give them a ticket. And if they still don't pay attention, you have the vehicle towed away. If it's a snowy area and people don't want to move their vehicles because they don't want to abide by the alternate side of the street rule, no, that's got to stop. We need to start thinking like a community. Too many people want to think about their individual rights and blast their music at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's got to stop. We all deserve the ability to have peace and quiet in our homes. And that means enforcement from code enforcement, enforcement from the police. That would be a major aspect of the Gonzalez administration if you're going to vote for me on June the 4th. Thank you very much.
So Sharon, I'll rephrase the question for you. Loud music, garbage, people cursing in the streets continue to be a problem. What will you do to improve the quality of life in Perth Amboy?
Okay, so first I'm gonna
Or,
Okay. I'm going to talk about the noise issue. Many of us have seen, especially during summer, doesn't it increase? Yes. How many of you, not by a show of hands, have called the police? The police come, the noise goes down, and then what happens? They're out. It goes back up. Correct? So what we haven't had discussions is the following. Besides the enforcement, which is extremely important, we do not have what's called a sound level contour map. What does that mean? We need in our ordinance to have a sound contour map that they have in other urban cities where they're able to pinpoint where the noise is coming from. I believe in enforcement, but I also believe in the analytics and the resources of where we're going to dedicate those resources. So we can continue down the path of the previous administration that I will enforce, you won't hear any noise, and we're back to square one. So noise pollution, there's a solution. Garbage. We are not exploring the sustainable way to deal with our garbage. Also, we can be generating revenue from collecting garbage. I believe that with the capital CDGD funds, we can create a program where we involve nonprofit organizations, they drive volunteers, they apply for a grant. So we have what's called active neighborhood involvement in the garbage. So I have many ideas, but I only have 2.5 minutes, but I am sure to implement them extremely well, succinctly, and right away. Thank you.
do either one of you require a rebuttal? Excellent. So I have another question. And Ken, you're going to go first.
Ma'am.
Should term limits be imposed on all offices of local government?
So the philosophical response is yes. The legal response is it's been tried under our form of government in Perth Amboy, strong mayor and lead council. I believe Mayor Diaz actually looked into that when she got elected to office and was told that unless we change the form of government, we can't. Now, having stated that, I firmly believe, particularly in the executive branch, any mayor who stays too long, let's say their viewpoints tend to alter. We've seen it with the last few mayors. And I can go into individuality, but I'm going to simply say this. If elected, I promise I will not serve any more than 2 terms. Simple as that. It will be my intention to take the position, make changes, and go ahead and find someone in my 2nd term that I can start grooming to take over and pass the baton. At the end of the day, we don't elect mayors who are going to be kings or queens. They're stakeholders, they're caretakers of the community, and they need to recognize that they will have an expiration date. In fact, if I'm elected, I will have in my office on my desk an hourglass reminding me, and I'll remind the directors, we're here for a finite period of time. We need to make it count. We're not here to mark time. We're not here to take up space. It's a race. Get the job done and get out and let somebody else take it over, because otherwise your mindset's going to slowly start to change. You need to be here for a brief time and make it count. Thank you.
So Sharon, I'll ask the same question. Should term limits be imposed on all offices of local government?
Thank you for the question. Many of you who have heard me debate before may already know I am for term limits. It's important to note that. Look at the situation that we have in Perth Amboy. And what concerns me about the previous response is the passing of the baton. There is no passing of the
George Washington said 2 terms is good enough for him. The President of the United States gets 2 terms. The Governor of New Jersey gets 2 terms. It makes sense to me. I understand there's arguments that perhaps someone should have longer. That's not my philosophy, and I respect that intelligent minds can be different. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to stay with government question. And if elected, will you return Perth Amboy to a non-partisan municipality?
So, me first, right?
Yeah?
Oh yeah, 6 seconds. Don't be sorry, it's okay. All right. I voted against turning Perth Amboy partisan. Years ago, I ran on a slate for city council where one person was a Democrat, one was a nonpartisan, one was a Republican. Perth Amboy is composed of many Democrats, many more independents, and some wonderful Republicans. At the end of the day, it shouldn't matter what your party is. It should be where your heart is, what ideas you want to bring to the table. That's my firm belief. Turning Democratic county machine into getting so much control over Perth Amboy isn't necessarily good for our community. Perth Amboy should be run by Perth Amboy. I firmly believe that. Making Perth Amboy nonpartisan again would, I would imagine, involve another vote referendum. I have no objection to doing so. I was happier when we were nonpartisan. That's my answer. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. I was asked this question previously in another debate many years ago, and I have always supported the nonpartisan platform for many of the same reasons as Mr. Gonzalez has stated. But this is what I also believe. I am here to do a task. God is in control, but for whatever reason, we're now a partisan town. All this talk about the county controlling the local people running for local office in the partisan election, I can tell you, I have stood strong against my own party leaders when it was about doing the right thing. So, just to provide you information, since before we even went from nonpartisan to partisan, I was there talking at the council meeting, questioning the legality of whether or not we can do this. Now that we're partisan, we cannot even go and revisit it until after 4 years. So if given the opportunity, if it is the will of the people via referendum, if you decide to go nonpartisan, that is your choice, and I have nothing against it because I have always been for a nonpartisan way of ideas to promote ideas and solutions. But quite frankly, even in those nonpartisan elections, they always made it partisan. So all of you know I've always been the Republican, and we need balanced government. We don't have it. We haven't had it since the inception of Perth Amboy. So given the opportunity, I will make sure not only that I fight for you, but Perth Amboy will always be first. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah? So Sharon, you're going to go first on the next 3. What is your view on police blotters as a useful tool in decreasing crime? So transparency. Police transparency, yeah.
For the police, right? Not government?
Police blotter.
Okay. Transparency. Many candidates, they talk about it back and forth, left and right, up and down. But what exactly does it mean? Having a police blotter, we had it once. Somehow it disappeared. What does a police blotter do? First and foremost, it makes our community aware of not only what is happening in our town, but it also makes us aware of all the accomplishments we have done to deal with the problems of our town. We don't hear anything at this point in time. We rely on social media to be able to give us information, which sometimes is disinformation and misinformation. We rely on social media to recognize our hard-working police. And let me tell you one thing. Our police, when we're running away from trouble, they're running into the trouble. So, what do we need besides a police blotter? We need a leader in the community that has the back of our police so that we will have a safe and secure neighborhood. Without that, all of these pipe dreams will go down the drain. So, in answer to your question, yes, I would restore back the police blotter. I will not only restore back that, I will help restore the morale of our police that oftentimes it needs to be done. We want safety, security, that's the number one area that we need to improve because the crime element, you don't respect the police, what do you have? Nonsense, disruption, chaos. We have enough in Trenton when they lessen bail reform and we're making all these changes. In Perth Amboy, we're going to operate differently. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, police blotter is kind of an old-fashioned term. It used to be, you have it in the newspaper, you have it publicly posted, what recent crimes are. In Perth Amboy, during the Diaz administration, they created the Nixle program. I think most people know what Nixle is. The idea is that you get a text message to your phone or an email telling you, hey, there's been a crime committed in your neighborhood. And during the Diaz administration, there was a Captain Guzman who took a great care in making sure that everybody knew what was going on in the different neighborhood. What I'm going to say simply is this. That's changed. The Nixle program is really not being used in the way it should be used currently. The Nixle program really was intended to notify crimes. So that if somebody was opening car doors in your neighborhood, you could be aware, oh my gosh, there's someone opening car doors in my neighborhood. I want to be aware of it. Now it's really being notified about, oh, there's a road closure, and that's the kind of stuff we'll see. Or there's a ribbon cutting somewhere. That's not what Nixle is for. Nixle is meant to notify and keep informed everybody in the community about what crime is occurring in the neighborhood so they can take practical aspects to protect themselves and be aware. That needs to come back. That needs to be used. Simple as that. With regards to the police in general, I'm going to say this. I've had the pleasure of working with the police closely for the last 9 years. Whenever an arrest was being done, I would get a phone call for probable cause hearing, so I have a good relationship with the police. It is my intention to work well with the police and have a police advisory committee of retired police officers that I, to this day, have a very good relationship with, to advise me as mayor and to make sure that I'm doing my job. I expect that the police, along with code enforcement, are going to be two of the most important departments in making sure that Perth Amboy turns around in the way it needs to be done. And that's going to involve transparency. The public needs to know what all departments, including its mayor, are doing at all times. Thank you.
Any rebuttals? So what measurements would you suggest to our public safety officers to crack down on people who disregard traffic signals and crosswalks? It's counting down. Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon. No. What measurements would you suggest to our public safety officers to crack down on people who disregard traffic signals at crosswalks.
By people who disregard traffic signals and crosswalk, we have had a tremendous issue regarding bicycle safety, electric scooters. There is a lot that is happening. But the good news on one side is there will be legislation where there's going to be required registration of those types of vehicles with the DMV. We'll see what happens there. But in regards to Perth Amboy, the individuals want quality of life. How do you expect to have quality of life if there's no operation of commitment to adhering to the laws? We had a situation where our police wanted a substation. It was denied by our council at that time. So I'm of the opinion that marketing, branding is extremely important. Education is extremely important. Safety is extremely important. Why aren't we doing more regarding showing individuals about that type of safety, what a collision can do, how to avoid that type of catastrophe? Why don't we have command centers? Why are we calling it a substation? With command centers, what does that do? It commands respect from the community. Having strategic command centers would enable our police to address such situations of non-compliance with the law, while maintaining the community in mind on the approach. And I have to give it to our police. The amount of patience that they have exuded in such delicate situations is to be rewarded. It is to be multiplied. It is to be an example. So in accordance to people violating the law, when we respect the laws, we have less of it. When we have implementation of laws, we adhere to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we're done. All right. Bottom line, I think if you took a poll here of the people that are seated here with us, and you asked them, what's worse, the pedestrians who cross anywhere in the street or the drivers driving in the street? I think you get a 50-50 split. There has been a process in Perth Amboy, a culture has developed that anything goes in the street. That needs to change. Now, that's going to involve a couple of different components. You don't change a person's mindset overnight. You got to educate them. I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, there were all these public service commercials, give a hoot, don't pollute, you too can prevent forest fires. Look, we need to do something where we're notifying our young people in the schools about the importance of crossing the green, not in between. That was another old one there too. That's very applicable to this one. We need to educate, but our police do need to crack down. If they see people who are crossing, they're jaywalking, there are ordinances against this. They have the ability to issue summonses, and if the people simply ignore the police have tools to deal with that as well. Now, I'm not saying we need to be a bunch of Nazis and go after every single person with impunity, but within reason, we need to educate them. We need to notify them that there's a way to do something and a way not to do something. We need to go ahead and make sure that Perth Amboy becomes a safer place. That means we also need to ensure that the public has greater respect for our police. I personally witnessed on images on Facebook and seen cases in front of me when I was a judge of people who refused to pull over when the cop asked them to pull over, or refused to show their credentials to the officer when the officer said, license, registration, insurance, sir. That needs to stop, and the police officers have issued charges against those persons for simply refusing to do what they're supposed to do. We need to do education and we need to do enforcement. Thank you.